All righty. Good evening, East Alabama and West Georgia. And tonight, I think I should say good evening to Northeast Georgia. Good evening to the state of Alabama and to the state of Georgia, and wherever you may be tuned in. As over the next few minutes or so, we are going to discuss the possibility of a significant winter storm across the southeastern United States. It is 7:16 Central, 8:16 Eastern. We're running a little bit behind. I'd hope to be on at the top of the hour, but trying to get the latest information in here so I can give you the latest and greatest of what we think may potentially be unfolding this weekend across the state of Alabama and Georgia. This is also going to affect literally every state from New Mexico to even up into the northeastern part of the United States. This is going to be a multi-state, multi-million people affecting type storm. And this is going to be a huge event. It's going to affect a lot of areas across the southern plains, the southeastern United States, the mid-Atlantic states, and the northeastern states, which is troublesome. Because when you have that number of people, maybe close to 100 million people affected by a storm in multiple states from literally the West Coast to the East Coast, that creates a problem for recovery, especially when it comes to utilities. And we'll talk more about that in just a few moments. And before I get into tonight's Weather Talk Live, and we're going to do this every night this week, hoping to go at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern each night this week up until Thursday. Well, we'll do Thursday night, and then from that point, it's going to be a look out the window, see what's happening, and we'll come to you live as we can. But, folks, here's the thing I want you to understand. I know that there are those of you out there who think, oh, boy, here we go again. They're pushing the panic button. They're scaring everybody half to death. They're pushing that panic button, and nothing will end up happening. Well, those of you who have been following me for any length of time know that I am typically on the conservative side, and I do that on purpose because I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to push panic buttons. I don't want to send folks into panic mode because, look, weather anxiety is a real thing. And a lot of you who follow Dr. Don's weather suffer from weather anxiety. And so one of the things that we do here on Dr. Don's weather and have been doing since we started this 8 years ago is that we're calm. We tell you the facts as we know them, and then we talk you through and hopefully teach you a little bit about weather, because you can overcome your anxiety by understanding what's going on your own without somebody having to tell you about it. So for those of you who are new to us and don't understand, that's the way we typically operate. But this setup for this weekend is different. It's different from your normal brush with old man winter. You know, we typically don't see winter weather here in the Southeast very often. But typically we're talking about a snow event or, maybe a little ice event, and it lasts for a day, maybe two, and then it's all gone. What happened Sunday in South Alabama, Southeast Alabama, and South Central Georgia is very typical for Alabama and Georgia with a winter event. It's here 1 minute and then it's gone. It was fun for those of you who are snow lovers, and then we get back to normal. No harm done. This setup has the potential, and this is not a forecast, I'm just telling you it has the potential of being life-threatening for a very large section of the southern United States. And this is going to be a prolonged event, perhaps. It starts on Friday evening, and the precipitation continues all the way through Sunday night, maybe into Monday. Some of the models take us out to Monday night before we completely get all the precipitation out of here. And then we get brutally cold, especially if we have a good snowpack and or ice accumulation. By the time we get to Tuesday of next week, we could be looking at temperatures in the mid to low teens or even upper single digits in some areas across North Alabama and the North Georgia mountains. And that could linger on into the middle or latter part of next week. And there are some signals. They are weak at the moment, but there are some signals beginning to pop up that we could be dealing with another event toward the end of next week as far as precipitation is concerned. So all the ingredients are beginning to come together for this to be a unusually significant winter weather event across the southeastern United States. Now, we're still a little bit too early to start talking specifics in exact locations. I'm going to show you the latest GFS and the latest Euro, and these models will give you an idea of the types of extremes we could be looking at, and it's going to show you placement on the maps that I'm going to show you, but that could change and probably will change between now and the onset Friday night. So I just want you to understand that what I'm about to show you is not etched in stone. This is not a forecast. These are simply possibilities for what we could see as we get into this weekend. Now, I want to bring your attention to what you're looking at there on the screen. That is our fine folks at ICS, Integrated Contractor Services, who are a commercial and industrial and residential electrical contractor across East Alabama and West Georgia. Now, you see the numbers there, Cody's number and Hunter's number. And if you own a generator, doesn't matter if it's a Generac or it doesn't matter who it's manufactured by, and you want to have that thing serviced and you want to make sure that it's running in good working order before this event hits this weekend, those are the folks you want to call right there. You see the number on the screen. They can handle your portable generator, your residential, whole home generator, chicken farms, industrial generators. It doesn't matter. They can service them and make sure they're working, because you know what happens. I go through it every single time. You have a generator and you're all set up and ready to go, and then when you need it, that doggone thing won't crank. Well, you call ICS and have them come out there and service that generator for you, and you'll have peace of mind in the event that we do have, power outages as we get into this storm system out there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, let's talk about some things here. Bear with me a second. Those of you who work with me on a day-to-day basis at Public Safety in White County know that I like to talk, and you can tell by my voice I have been doing a tremendous amount of talking today, and we're not even in this thing yet. So let me take a swig. Things are bad when you get a half a gallon of peach iced tea. Hadn't got into the coffee yet. That's coming. Okay, let's work through a few graphics here, and I'll explain them to you as we go along. All right, so the first thing I want to bring your attention to, this is a graphic that was published this afternoon by the National Weather Service out of Birmingham, and this just kind of paints the picture for Alabama with the data that we have right now. This is the potential winter storm impact potential, and right now it looks like along and south of the I-85 corridor in Alabama, and then over in Georgia from, I don't know, maybe right there from about LaGrange south, the impact right now is expected to be low. Then you go north of that, we get into that medium category, and that covers most of the Dr. Don coverage area between I-85 and I-20, both in Alabama and in Georgia. The impact there is expected to be medium. There can certainly be problems with a medium impact. And then from the I-20 corridor and north, the impact is expected to be high. This will be a high impact event. So we're looking at a mixture of cold rain, ice, sleet, and some snow. Locations will fluctuate between precipitation types. I mean, it may be across East Alabama and West Georgia that you have a cold rain, then you may have some sleet mixed in with it. Then you may transition into more of a sleet and snow event. Then you may go back to liquid rain, and we may switch back and forth right there across East Alabama and West Georgia. With the latest model data, that appears to be where the battle zone is going to be between all frozen and all liquid. So that could just create a sloppy mess right there across East Alabama and West Georgia. And then you get along the I-20 corridor in north, then I think we're looking at all frozen precipitation. Now, the question there is, will it be freezing rain, sleet, snow, or a combination of all of the above? I think there's a chance from the I-20 corridor in north that we will switch back and forth between freezing rain, sleet, and snow multiple times throughout this event. Somewhere right there along that battle zone, and I think the big battle is going to be right there between freezing rain and sleet, that there's going to be a swath that's going to set up across North Alabama, somewhere maybe north of Atlanta, could be Atlanta, we're not sure, but north of the I-20 corridor, where we could receive primarily freezing rain. And that could end up being crippling for wherever that ends up happening. And really anywhere from the I-20 corridor north, we could see that band of freezing rain set up. And that's going to be because the way this system is going to work, we're going to have a low-pressure system kicking out of the plain states or southwest states that's going to move across Texas. We're going to have high pressure coming down from the north out of the Great Lakes. And then as that low moves across Texas, it's going to be pumping a tremendous amount of moisture up off the Gulf of Mexico. So when it starts pulling that moisture up off of the Gulf, it's going to bring warm air with it. That's going to override a shallow layer of cold air at the surface across Alabama and Georgia. So you have that shallow layer of air at 32 or just below 32 at the surface, and then up at about 3,000 feet, from 3,000 to about 5,000 feet, you have what is referred to as a warm nose of air, where the temperatures are above 32 degrees. So the snow growth typically is up around 10,000 feet. So when that frozen precipitation falls from 10,000 feet, it gets down to about 5,000. It starts melting because it's hitting that warm nose. And then it comes all the way to the ground as liquid, but the ground is frozen or at 32 or just below. Then you have that rain, liquid rain, freezes on contact. And that's where the crippling ice storms come from. So one of the things that the models are still struggling with is exactly where and how strong that warm nose of air is going to be, and how far north does it push as this thing evolves Friday into Saturday and Sunday. There are models that bring that warm nose up into West Alabama, keeps East Alabama cold from top to bottom, and you could end up with all sleet and some freezing rain and maybe some snow on the back end of all of this. Other models bring that warm nose right up through East Alabama, West Georgia, and right up across north central Georgia and northeast Georgia, up around the Appalachian Mountains, and really pushes that warm air all the way up into North Carolina. I have a hard time buying that solution simply because it's suggesting that higher elevations across North Georgia may be above 32 degrees there for a period. It could happen, but that's just not the most likely scenario, I think. So we've got to keep our eye on that warm nose of air coming out of the Gulf of America, because where that sets up, and depending on how strong it is, how broad it is going to dictate as to whether you get a cold rain, freezing rain, sleet, or snow. At the moment, it looks like the heaviest snow impact is going to be across Tennessee, over into western North Carolina, and maybe a tier of counties down into North Georgia and North Alabama up there along the Tennessee Valley region. All right, so now let's take a look at a couple of these models. This first stop is going to be the GFS total freezing rain output. Again, understand the placement of this could change between now and by the time we get to Friday. That could work a little further north. It could work a little further south. And I'll note that warm nose of air. You can see it very clearly pushing up into West Alabama and Central Alabama on this particular map. Now, I'm going to bring this full screen because it's very hard to see, and I understand that. Heck, I can't see it, and I'm staring at the computer screen. So we'll bring this, we'll zoom in on this, and we'll talk about what we're seeing and where. Right now, if this model were to confirm, we're looking at over an inch of ice up there across Chambers County back into Troup County and maybe up into Heard. 2.12 inches of ice all the way back over into Randolph County, maybe back closer to 1 inch of ice over in Clay. Mel, there's some parts of Clay showing over 2 inches as well. So you can see if this were to be correct, and again, I caution you, these numbers are going to change, but this is screaming major ice storm here in East Alabama and West Georgia. And again, this is just one model. This is the GFS total freezing rain output for this storm. That would cause significant damage to utilities and infrastructure. We would have widespread power outages if this were to confirm as we get into this storm. So let me put that back in place. And I apologize. I know this looks a little messy, but I'm just having to do this on the fly so we can see these things. I guess I should have called Bryce and had him produce this for me. All right, so now let's move on to the Euro. Now understand, that's the GFS. Let's go look at the Euro total freezing rain output. Now the Euro is your friend if you live in East Alabama. And let me zoom in on it and I'll show you why. If you live in East Alabama and West Georgia, according to the Euro, the freezing rain is going to be well to your north. The freezing rain line is going to be way to your north. This would be up there along the I-20 corridor. It's depicting no freezing rain for East Alabama and West Georgia. Look up here in the northeast Georgia mountains. 1.38, 2.35 just north of Atlanta. That would be catastrophic. There are some models that are suggesting over 2.5 inches of ice up here in northeast Georgia as well. But the Euro is your friend, if this is right, for East Alabama and West Georgia. Very little freezing rain, according to this particular model. All right, now let's go talk about snow and understand that in most locations, we're not talking about a massive ice accumulation and a massive snow accumulation. Yes, you could have a little bit of both, but we're not talking about combining the total ice and the total snow together. It's most likely primarily going to be one or the other. So this is the GFS total snow output. Bear with me. Snow lovers are just dying to see what this is saying. Again, you'll notice that warm nose poking up into central Alabama. But my goodness, look at the output totals here if the GFS snow total is correct. Upwards of 1 foot of snow in places like Troup County, up into Heard County, back over into Roanoke and Randolph County, and then back into Clay, up into Talladega County. We're looking at about 1 foot of snow. South of that, we would be looking at around 8.5 inches. And then there's going to be a sharp division line there as we get into the southern part of Lee County, Russell County, back over toward Columbus, about 5 inches. And then we taper off to absolutely nothing just below Columbus. If you look up here in the northeast Georgia mountains, hello, how about 20 inches just inside of South Carolina, up there around Clemson, South Carolina. Across White County, Georgia, we would be in that 19 to 20 inch range, if this model is correct. and you just see copious amounts of snow all across North Alabama and North Georgia. Again, folks, understand, Dr. Don did not just tell you that it's going to snow 12 inches in Roanoke, Alabama. He just told you that one of the models is one of the more trusted models is suggesting that that is possible. I'm not telling you that's what's going to happen. You just saw on the Euro that is showing absolutely nothing for East Alabama and West Georgia when it comes to ice. Now we're looking at the GFS total snow. It is showing snow across East Alabama and West Georgia. So let's move on to the Euro total snow. And it's very obvious that the Euro does not like a snow solution for East Alabama or West Georgia either. So what we've got going on here is the GFS is very bullish with potential ice accumulations and with potential snow accumulations across East Alabama and West Georgia. It's not going to be both. It would be one or the other. The Euro is saying pretty much nothing's going to happen across East Alabama or West Georgia with snow or ice. We would be looking at mostly a cold rain event across the area. Up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains is showing very little snow across White County. So the Euro seems to think ice is more of a possibility up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains. The GFS says, hey, you could get hammered with snow and ice up in the Northeast Georgia mountains if this verifies. Again, folks, we got a long way to go, and lots of changes could take place with the forecast as we move into this weekend. I'm just showing you the possibilities of what the different models are saying could be taking place this weekend across Alabama and Georgia. Now I'm going to show you, this is the Euro total snow. This is the Euro GIF. We're going to kind of roll through this thing and show you the overall progression of this storm from start to finish. And if the Euro is correct, you see all of that red across North Alabama, North Georgia, and it's just mind-boggling that we could be dealing with something like this. The glaring message the Euro is giving us is that warm nose pushing way up there into North and Northeast Alabama, which would limit the ice and snow accumulation across East Alabama and West Georgia. But you folks up there, North Alabama, North Georgia, and I'm speaking to the White County folks, if the Euro is correct, we in deep trouble. Scott, you're correct. Two totally different solutions. But here's the troubling part. They're both in agreement that it's going to happen somewhere. Is it further north? Is it further south? Confidence is way high that we're going to have a major winter storm. What's not confident at this point is the exact placement. That's the difference in these two models. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the GFS, and we'll loop it through the entire event. This is your friend if you're a snow lover. You see a good bit of snow now in North Georgia, sleet. You see freezing rain across East Alabama. And you see some snow there on the tail end of this across East Alabama. I think that by the time we get to tomorrow, we will start feeling a whole lot better. We'll be a lot more confident in the potential for this weekend. And then certainly by the time we get to Thursday, we should have a good handle on amounts and types and placement of those amounts. So the main message here is be prepared. Be prepared for the worst case scenario. Then if it doesn't happen, then this will have been a great drill for you. I think the odds of it not happening are better the further south you go, and I'm including East Alabama and West Georgia. For those of you up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains that are watching us, it's almost a given at this point that we are going to deal with a significant event. The question is it more snow than ice, or is it more ice than snow, or is it a combination of both? And I certainly think that that is a possibility up in the Northeast Georgia mountains. All right. So, Melissa, yes and no. I mean, the Euro, which is the one that pushes everything further north, when it finally got on board with the Canadian, the GFS, it ended up pegging the eventual snowfall totals in South Alabama and South Georgia Sunday. So if you're asking my opinion, I do think that the Euro is a somewhat more reliable model. That's the European model when it comes to winter weather across Alabama and Georgia. Several people asking me which model I trust the most, and we could get up tomorrow morning and the Euro may go bullish for East Alabama and West Georgia, and the GFS may back off of it. I mean, they may flip back and forth a couple of times before they come into great agreement on specifics. They are in very good agreement. Both of them are in, actually the American model too. All three of the top models are in very good agreement that there's going to be a high impact winter storm across the Southeast. Problem is, we can't get into specifics just yet. We can't tell you what it's going to do in your front yard in Roanoke. We can't tell you what's going to happen in your front yard in Cleveland or in LaGrange or anywhere else at this point. We can tell you with some good confidence that there is going to be a significant storm across the Southeast. Is that North Alabama, Central Alabama, North Georgia, or all the way down into middle Georgia? Odds are higher the further north you go, but we can't tell you at this point exactly where and how much you're going to end up with in your front yard. All right, so I see folks asking me specific questions about specific areas at specific times on certain highways. And I would be doing you a disservice if I tried to give you my thought on that right now. That's something that we got to wait probably until at least tomorrow night, if not Thursday night, to answer. If you have appointments that you can reschedule for another time that's not going to cause a major issue, then always err on the side of caution, and I would go ahead and reschedule those appointments. But, we're talking medical appointments. If it's something that's really needed, and if you try to reschedule, it's going to cause you to be delayed another month or two before you can get in, I would not make that call just yet. I'd wait as long as I could before I made that decision. But if it's not going to really matter that much, if it's just a checkup, then, hey, that's your call, and err on the side of cautioning and go ahead and reschedule. While we have got a huge audience in here, let me say, folks, that if you do not follow us on Facebook, you've got to follow us on Facebook. Please share us on your news feed so we can get the word out there to other folks that maybe don't know about us. And you've got to comment every now and then, or we'll drop off of your feed. That's just the way Facebook works. The best idea is subscribe to us on Facebook. It's 99 cents a month. And that will help ensure that you get notification when we go live to cover severe weather and winter weather. And even if you don't want to watch us over on YouTube, I highly suggest that you subscribe to us over there too, and be sure and click that little notification bell. Their push notifications operate differently from Facebook. They send out push notifications. You don't have to interact with us over there. Once you follow us, then you're going to get that notification. Then you can watch us on Facebook if that's your preference. YouTube's pretty cool. You can download that YouTube app on that big screen TV, and then you don't have to get right up on the screen to see those graphics. You can have them up there on the big screen TV, and that's the best way to watch us. The quality is really good, so I encourage you to do that as well. If you own a business and would like to be a partner with us, send me a message on Messenger. We can have you started before we do our next forecast, and we do encourage you to support us every chance you get because that's what keeps us streaming here on Dr. Don's Weather. Yeah, see, Mike is agreeing with what I said. If possible, watch broadcast on a smart television. The resolution is much, much better. It's a lot easier to see. We got all kind of characters in here tonight. Allison asked a very good question. This has the potential of being a long duration event where we could start seeing frozen precipitation on Friday night. Actually, up here in North Georgia, we could start seeing it Friday afternoon. And it could continue all the way through Sunday. Some models carry it all the way through Monday. The front's going to kind of stall out across Alabama and Georgia, so the precipitation is going to hang around for quite some time. And that's why we're seeing some of the copious total amounts out there on some of the models. It's just this is not going to be a quick 2 or 3 hour event, then it's gone. This could be a long duration event, and then we've got the life-threatening cold temperatures coming in behind it. So, folks, I'm telling you, this is going to be different. It has the potential of being different than anything we've seen in many, many years. We just don't know exactly where that's going to happen. I think by this time tomorrow night we'll have a little more confidence, and then certainly by the time Thursday gets here, I think we will be able to pinpoint what's going to happen. You know, understand this, folks. If you get anything over about 1/4 of an inch of ice, ain't nobody driving nowhere and doing anything on 4 wheels. I mean, you just can't. I know it's hard to think about, it's hard to think about getting 3/4 of an inch of ice, much less an inch. And then up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains, we could be looking at double that amount if this thing plays out just right. And I'm telling you, that is going to cause catastrophic damage if we were to get that much ice up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains, and even down across East Alabama and West Georgia. You typically start losing power, anything over 1/4 of an inch of ice. Certainly when you get to 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch, you start having widespread power failure. You get up there around an inch, and some of those high power transmission lines that power entire grids could start having some infrastructure issues. And then you throw in some, 20 and 30 mile per hour winds, perhaps on Sunday into Monday in on top of this. And then we have those real frigid cold temperatures coming in on Monday and Tuesday. This could certainly be a life-threatening event for a lot of folks across Alabama and Georgia. Some models update every 3 hours, some every 6, and then some every 12. It just depends which one you're talking about. What's my best guess for ice in Auburn? Well, John, that's all it would be at this point, is a guess. There's zero science behind but I'll give you an answer. I think you're going to be on the low end if you see anything at all in Auburn. As far as ice is concerned, I'm thinking maybe less than, a tenth of an inch of ice in the Auburn Opelika area. There could be some sleet from time to time. There could be a little snow down there as well. But I don't think Auburn, Opelika, I don't think Lee County is in a high risk area for ice accumulation. If you'll look there on the map that's on the screen, you can clearly see that most of Lee County is in that blue area, which is low risk for winter storm impact potential. You get up there in Troop, Chambers, Tallapoosa, Coosa. You're getting, between low and medium. And then you're looking at Meriwether, Troop, Meriwether, Hurd, Randolph, Clay, and over into Talladega County. You're in that medium range category. And then north of that, you're getting up there in that high range. Along, just south of, along, and north of the I-20 corridor is where the highest risk for winter storm impacts will be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thank you, Jennifer Knox. I appreciate that. You guys don't understand how much that helps us when you subscribe to us on Facebook. It is 99 cents a month. That's less than one cup of coffee. I'm talking about per month. And we have over 40,000 people that follow us just on Facebook. And, if we could just get more of those folks to subscribe to us, then we could do a lot more with Dr. Don's weather, and it certainly will keep us going here across East Alabama and West Georgia. Well, Rhonda, you bring up a very good point, and I hope that everybody will take this serious, because this is not your normal winter threat. I'm telling you, folks, this is not a normal winter threat. This has the potential of being a high life safety issue across Alabama and Georgia. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen at your house. We don't know exactly where the high risk is going to be. It's logical the further north you go, the higher that risk is going to be. But you got to understand, this is not your normal winter weather threat for Alabama and Georgia. This is a high risk, high impact, perhaps a higher impact than anything we have seen in many, many, many years. I've been asked a gazillion times today, is this going to be anything like the snow blizzard Mageddon thing of 1993? And you can't really compare two storm systems, because no two storm systems are identical. The Snowmageddon of 93, the snow blizzard, the great blizzard of 93 across Alabama and Georgia was a different type of system. That thing was a hurricane in the wintertime. It was. We don't expect to have that type of low pressure system, a phased low pressure system. But because this is going to be moving so slow, and because the precipitation rates and amounts are going to be so high, and we're going to have so much cold air coming in from the north, I think that there is a possibility somewhere that the snow totals that we end up with, once all is said and done, could rival what we saw in 1993. And we all know we had 18, 19, and 20-inch snow drifts all across East Alabama and West Georgia. We didn't receive that much snow, but we did have the snow drifts that tall. So I think it's certainly plausible that somewhere we could see those type snow amounts once this is all over with. And some places are going to get snow with ice on top of it, which is going to even make matters even worse. So this is something that you really need to pay attention to, and at the very least be weather aware as we go through the next couple of days. People are asking me, what do I need to do to prepare for this? Prepare as though you're going camping for 3 to 5 days, and I'm talking about primitive camping. No amenities whatsoever, no bathhouse, no electricity, no running water. You're going out in the middle of the forest with a sleeping bag. What would you take with you if you knew you were going to be stuck out there for 3 to 5 days in frigid cold weather? What would you take with you? That's what you need to prepare for. And then if the worst doesn't happen at your house, then, hey, you got some extra snacks. Make sure that if you depend on medication, that you have enough supply for at least a week. Make sure you got enough water to last you for a week. You know, you can live without food. You cannot make it very long without water. So make sure you've got plenty of water. Make sure you have your medications. I'm going to make sure I got some food too, but I'm just saying that water is most important. Livonia, I have no idea how the weather's going to be in Colorado. I'll tell you that this system is coming from that direction. So I haven't looked at specifics in Colorado, but I would venture to say that probably Thursday night into Friday is probably going to be pretty snowy in Colorado because this system is coming generally from that direction. Jennifer, I think that's correct. Generally speaking, for the state of Alabama, I think there's a very small chance this is a bust. For any one specific location south of I-20, you could say that there is a bust factor there, even though we're not forecasting you're going to get anything at all. Does that make sense? Not yet. What I've been showing you are models that suggest what could happen. It's not a forecast. I won't start forecasting East Alabama and West Georgia most likely until Wednesday night or Thursday morning. I'm going to show you what the possibilities are, and I'm going to tell you got to pay attention to it, and I'm going to say you need to be prepared. But I'm not going to go out and start giving you a forecast until we get to within about 24 hours of this event because there is so much opportunity for this thing to change back and forth before we get there. Hey, yeah, Kevin Pinkard, Fall Guy. For all my firefighter buddies that may be watching up here in Northeast Georgia, that dude right there, Kevin Pinkard, he's a fireman. The reason he's got that name, we were all firemen together way back yonder, way on back yonder. Kevin was on a ladder attacking a residential structure fire from a ladder up on the side of the house. And pumper operator might have had a little too much pressure on that hose. He opened that nozzle and ended up on his back on top of a vehicle out in the parking lot. He didn't get hurt, though. He was okay. Yeah, Jody, I know there will be people that will try it. And unfortunately, those are the kind of folks that we have to risk our responders' safety to go get. And so I hope everybody will think about that before. We had a situation up here. Saturday was a week ago where we had a somewhat unexpected flash flood. And we had some folks, and honestly, they thought they were doing the right thing. They really did. They wanted to help. They meant no harm, but they made a really bad decision in driving across, at one point, about 4 foot of water to bring people from one side of the flood to the other. And the folks were not in any danger whatsoever until they got in that vehicle and tried to cross that flooded river. And so I hope everybody pays attention to this event. And, look, guys, we start getting a glaze. All it takes is a glaze of ice on the roadway, and your vehicle's done. I don't care if you've got four-wheel drive. You know what a four-wheel drive will do? All four tires will spin just like two on ice. It's not going to help you that much at all. It might give you a little more power, but they're going to spin. So we just got to be we got to think about our actions, because when you make those poor decisions and you get in trouble, then we have to send the responders after you, and we're putting their lives at risk as well. And, it's conceivable in the areas that get hardest hit, and I'm speaking to North Georgia now, it's conceivable in this type of setup that there could come a point where emergency services cannot respond. I hope I never see that happen in my career time. But this would be one of those events that could possibly become a thing. That's just how serious this could be. And you start talking, 2 inches, 2.5 inches of ice. Folks, that's catastrophic. You lose all of your power infrastructure. Trees start falling. Roadways are blocked. Nobody can drive if you've got that much ice on the roadway. I wouldn't expect to see that much ice on the roadway, because one good thing about this entire system is that we are going to be relatively warm tomorrow and Thursday. So the ground's going to be well above freezing when at the onset of any frozen precipitation we may have on Friday afternoon, Friday night. So it's going to take a while for the pavement to glaze over. Now, cold surfaces such as grass, your automobile, bridges, overpasses, it won't take long for those areas to start to glaze over. So the bridges and overpasses, as far as roadways are concerned, would be the first thing to go. But then eventually, if we continue to get freezing rain for that length of time, or sleet or snow, eventually the ground will freeze. And then we'll have that really bad problem. When it gets to that point, if we've got 2.5 inches of ice hanging from the trees and the power lines up here in northeast Georgia, and we've got a 1/2 inch of ice glazed over the roadways, you won't be able to walk out your front door, much less get an automobile and go anywhere. And that's just something that most of us have never seen before. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I will tell you that some of the models are suggesting that is a high possibility. What about them generators from ICS? How about getting in touch with our guys over there at ICS and let them come service your generator? Make sure it's in good working order. You can call Cody or you can call Hunter, and they'll come out. Residential, commercial, industrial, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the make, model, year. They'll come service and make sure your generator's running and get it in good working order before this storm hits this weekend. So get in touch with them. The number's right there on the screen. Integrated Contractor Services. They service East Alabama and West Georgia. What does the yellow mean? Hang on a second. Let me get back. I guess you're talking about on this map that we're looking at right here. That means you're between low and medium as far as the winter storm impact potential. The blue has a low impact potential. The yellow is between low and medium. So if you live in Tallapoosa, Chambers, Southern Meriwether down into Harris, you're somewhere between low and medium. as far as winter storm impact potential is concerned. In other words, right now we expect anything that happens in that area to carry a somewhere between low and medium impact. You could have some impacts, but it wouldn't be as bad as what we would expect up here in the medium category or the high category. Got a request to show the euro again. And there's the euro gift. This is a slideshow of the euro model, which says more ice for North Alabama, North Georgia, and pretty much just a cold rain for East Alabama and West Georgia. All the snow would be up in Tennessee and North Carolina if the euro happens to be correct. Michelle, I said that we are beginning to see some slight signals that there could be another storm toward the latter part of next week. Watley, Alabama. Hey, Miss Kim. You're right there in that southern zone where you could or could not see anything. When is earliest projection time-wise would be an accurate forecast? About 12 hours before it starts. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. And even after it starts, there are going to be adjustments to what's coming. You know, I'd feel pretty confident at 24 hours out, a little bit better at 12. But look, guys, there's just very little science in predicting winter weather across the Southeast. This is going to happen. There's high confidence this is going to happen. We just don't know the exact placement and the exact amounts and types at any one, at any one location across Alabama or Georgia. I want you to protect them lashes there, Remy. That ain't no joke. Hey, Terry, over in Equality, Alabama in Elmore County. You're going to be right there on that southern edge of all of this. I mean, just to shift a little bit further north or south could change everything in your world. It's just too early to say. Yeah, CJ, if your big toe hurts, it's going to storm. I think across North Alabama, we could start seeing frozen precipitation, Friday afternoon. Down across East Alabama and West Georgia, we're probably after sunset, maybe, 9, 10, 11 o'clock Friday night. Brianna, yes, I think the onset there across East Alabama and West Georgia sometime after sunset. Up here in the northeast Georgia mountains, it could, and across North Alabama, it could happen late Friday afternoon. It could start late Friday afternoon, and this has the potential of being a long duration event. I mean, this could continue throughout the night, Friday night, all day Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, into Sunday night, and perhaps all the way into Monday before the precipitation comes to a complete end. Yeah, Tiffany, you're probably right about that. Dylan, yes, there is a potential for some high winds on Sunday as the precipitation begins to move out. We could see 20 to 30 mile per hour winds on the backside of all this. And that's not going to help matters at all, especially in areas that have a significant ice load or snow. Mike, you're 100% correct. At some point, with large amounts of ice, it's possible that emergency services will have to be suspended. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That is correct. Hey, here, Goodwater, Alabama. That's good advice, Rhonda. Don't burn propane anything inside your house unless it's designed for that. Oh, that's your responsibility, Bryce. I forgot to tell you before we left. You have kitchen duty. Will, this will probably start Friday night and continue all the way through Sunday night or Monday. Same thing for Lineville, Marie. You're there across east central Alabama. You're right there on that line where you could get hammered or you may end up with just some cold rain. It's just too early to tell how far south that freeze line is going to push. Yeah, I remember the Rudy nickname as well. Hey, Scott Brand, we'll do our best to keep it off of Louisiana Road. Oh, look at there. Producer Tracy got a shout out. Little John boy. I wish I was kidding, Chris. A lot of good information in the chat down there if you guys are scrolling through, taking a look at it. Yeah, I think north and central Louisiana certainly will get some of it. There's still a big question mark as far as southern Louisiana. This is going to stretch from New Mexico all the way up to the at least the mid-Atlantic states, if not the New England states. I mean, this is going to be almost a coast-to-coast event. And here's the thing, folks. This could be, again, I keep harping on this, but in some areas, the hardest hit areas could be without commercial power for you could be without commercial power for a couple of weeks. I mean, that is conceivable, or in some locations, even longer than that. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen where you live, but somewhere across Alabama, Georgia, most likely the northern end, there is a distinct possibility that we could be looking at complete power grid failure for an unusually long period of time. So I know you may be prepared, but are you prepared long enough? Because it may take a while to get the power back on. No, it's right now it looks like it's going to start to end on Sunday or maybe Monday, but it'll start Friday night. If you're going to Muscle Shoals, you better get up there. I'd leave, noon on Friday and be prepared to be stuck up there until middle of next week. Oh, getting back by Tuesday from Muscle Shoals probably ain't going to happen. If this if the models are correct. Again, folks, understand all this could change between now and Friday. But if we have to go with what we know, and all we know at the moment is what we're seeing on the models, and they will run every 3 to 6 hours between now and Friday. So there will be changes based off of what we know right this second. You probably are not going to be able to make it from Muscle Shoals back to Opelika on Tuesday. And it won't be so much of problems in Opelika, but there definitely will be problems in Muscle Shoals. You remember earlier in the broadcast I was talking about weather anxiety? Remy is your poster child. Columbus, I think you're just below where the problems are going to be. It certainly could shift a little further south, but right now, going with what you know, Columbus would be in that area of low impact. Yeah, Felicia brings up a good point. Make sure you take care of your animals. If you're cold, your animals are cold. That is correct, Denise. You lose power, your water's gone. We lose power for multiple weeks, your county water is gone. Your city water is gone. I mean, they may have generator capability, but what if they can't get fuel to keep the generators running? I mean, that's the kind of situation we could be looking at, especially the further north you go. Yes, you can have cell phone towers that start to have problems, especially up here in the northeast Georgia mountains. If we start getting over 1 inch of ice accumulation, then you got to consider the ice load on those towers and antennas. And, I mean, it wouldn't freeze them and keep them from working, but it certainly could cause reflected power back into the antenna, which could mess with the transmitters. We could start to see antenna failure because of the ice load that may be there. So it can certainly cause problems with cell phone service as well. Head honcho of scaredy cats. It's a good move, Stephen. Make sure those generators are ready to go. Let me hit this again. I talked to Hunter this afternoon, and they are ready to go. If you have a generator, I mean, you know how it is. I deal with it every single time I need a generator. I go out there, and, my generator won't start. I keep a spare carburetor on hand, so absolute worst case scenario, I'll change carburetor out right quick and be back in business, but not everybody has that luxury. So if you have a generator, doesn't matter, big, small, residential, commercial, industrial, doesn't matter who makes it, get in touch with Integrated Contractor Services and let them come out there and service that generator and get you going. So if the worst case scenario does happen, you'll at least have generator power to get you through this. They service all of East Alabama and West Georgia. They're good, honest folks. They know what they're doing. And you can get in touch with Cody or Hunter. You see the numbers there on the screen. Yeah, it's hard to say what it's going to look like from Opelika to Roanoke on Sunday morning. The potential is for it not to be pretty. but it's too early for specifics and placement and types. There will be a major crippling winter storm somewhere across the southeast, and it will affect Alabama and Georgia. As to specifics and specific locations and specific winter weather types, it is too early. I know I showed you guys some models a few moments ago, but the purpose of that was to show you what the possibilities are. It was not to suggest in any shape, form, or fashion that that's what's going to happen. It's 8:21. We're going to take this to the bottom of the hour. We're going to take it to 8:30. And then here's the plan. We'll do this again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I think by that time, we'll be a little more confident, and we may be able to feel a little bit better about some specifics tomorrow night. But pretty sure it's going to be Thursday before I can come in here with any great amount of confidence and tell you what I think is going to happen, between the I-20 and the I-85 corridor. I think by tomorrow night we may have a pretty good confidence level on North Georgia for you folks up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains. There's not as much question mark up here as there is across East Alabama and West Georgia. The big question mark right now for Northeast Georgia is the type. Placement and location is a given. Hey, we're going to deal with something up here. That's almost at 80% now. The question is it snow or is it freezing rain or sleet or a combination of all the above? And what will those final totals look like? Personally, I think up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains, we deal with all three. We have freezing rain, we have sleet, we have snow. I think the last 6 hours of this event has the best chance to be snow. The first 12 to 24 hours looks like freezing rain or a combination of freezing rain and sleet. But on the back end of this, I think we're all snow. So it's conceivable. We could end up with a couple of inches of ice. I hope not. If we've got to have ice, I hope it stays below a half inch. And then we could end up with several inches of snow on top of that, which is the absolute worst case scenario you can have. But I'm much more confident about Northeast Georgia than I am East Alabama and West Georgia, and that being the areas between I-20 and I-85. South of I-85, at the moment, it doesn't look like you have much to worry about. Brianna, unfortunately, there will be some. There are those who just don't think it can happen to them. And then when they realize it can, it's too late. Hey, Carrollton, Georgia, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Miss Felicia. I appreciate your kind words. Same thing for LaGrange, Troup County. You're right there in West Georgia. Same thing for you. You're between I-20 and I-85. Those are where the really big question marks are. And it's too early. We can't solve that for you. You could get anything from a cold rain to a crippling ice storm or several inches of snow. All three are possible between I-20 and I-85. North of I-20, it's going to be nasty. We just don't know what kind of nasty. Hiawassee. Tin Shop in the house. Again, folks, please don't forget to like us, share us on your news feed, make a comment, subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather on Facebook. It's 99 cents a month, but that goes a long way in keeping us going here. And regardless of whether you want to watch us over on YouTube or not, please go over there and subscribe to us. It's free over there. Subscribe to us on YouTube and be sure you click that notification button because YouTube sends out their notifications totally different than Facebook. If you don't interact with us on Facebook, eventually we'll fall off of your news feed and you'll never know when we go live. Now, we have an absolute major number of people on with us right now. We are knocking some record numbers right now. So a lot of folks are watching us and listening to us. So if all of you guys will share us to your news feed, then that will double our audience, just like that. So please do that. That helps us tremendously. Get the word out there to come watch Dr. Don's Weather. We plan on doing this again at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'll be posting throughout the day tomorrow. Of course, we'll have our regular primetime forecast for you first thing tomorrow morning, post throughout the day, and then I'll see you back in here tomorrow night with our next Weather Talk Live at 7 Central, 8 Eastern here on Dr. Don's Weather. Quick recap for those of you, get in touch with our friends here at ICS, Integrated Contractor Services. Let them come out there and service your generator before this storm hits so you'll have peace of mind. You know your generator will be working. And then take a look at this graphic from the National Weather Service out of Birmingham. This is for East Alabama and West Georgia. We expect winter storm impact potential to be low south of the I-85 corridor. We expect it to be medium, basically from I-85 up to about the I-20 corridor. And then from I-20 north, we expect the impact to be high across Alabama and across Georgia. We have a lot of people who watch us up here in Northeast Georgia. And at this point, it's just a matter of whether we get all snow or all ice or a combination of the above. We're going to have some effects up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains. I don't think there's much question about that. And we'll have the latest for you first thing tomorrow morning right here on Dr. Don's Weather. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening.